Hey, this is a video of the completed upgrade to the ZAP. This upgrade has the 7th battery. It's a Trojan 1275. It has a Paktrakr. It has a current sense for monitoring the AC current going to the guest charger as well as the Delta Q charger. To do the battery upgrade, as I mentioned in an earlier video, I had to modify the battery tray, chop out the old one and make one long one so I could put two batteries side by side like that. Here's a tie-down bar that secures the batteries. That's held down to the frame with this rod. I've got a shunt resistor in this little box that also houses spare fuses, because I had to move the fuse that used to be over here, and I moved the fuse over here, and I bolted this box on top of that to house the shunt resistor. That's a shunt resistor for the amp meter I have above the steering wheel. There's another shunt resistor over here, and that's used for the cycle Analyst. Now for the Paktrakr remote comes with little wires that come out of it that secure to the batteries. I didn't like that. They looked too weak and too thin. So I cut the harness off right here, and I put a terminal strip on here, a screw-on terminal strip, and the batteries have a custom harness that I made with heavier wire, and I put it in this vinyl armored casing. So I replaced the little thin wires for the Paktrakr remote with my own harness in this armored housing here. And plus that allowed me to mount the remote further away from the cab. So I also ran a custom harness from the output of the remote in through this bundled harness that's added, and that goes into the cab. Normally the Paktrakr remote has to be tie wrapped around here somewhere, but I didn't like that, so I mounted it back here on this tray. Having this heavy-duty harness does two things. It makes it easy to hook up the Paktrakr, but also now I have a convenient battery access point in this spare space here. If I want to put on some power check battery equalizers, I can just mount those modules here and attach them to these tie-in points right here, instead of having to run additional wires over to the batteries. The instrumentation, come on doggy, you gotta get in your own chair. Come on, your own chair. Come on, over here. There you go. My doggy tries to take my chair. Yeah, you be a good doggy. Okay, so in view of the steering wheel, I've got the main amp meter, so that allows me to throttle the accelerator pedal so that I don't draw too much current. I try to keep it below 150 amps. If I floor it, it'll go up to about 350 amps. Over here is the Paktrakr system. I mounted that into these little plastic bezels, and I mounted a switch here that turns off the fluorescent display. And this one, the little LCD one, always stays on. Over here is the cycle Analyst. I mounted that in a little plastic box, and it's angled towards the driver so you can better read the display. And I mounted a switch into the box to turn that on or off. And this is the reset switch that it came with. Over here is a 0 to 2 amp DC amp meter, and that monitors the output from the solar panel. I can disconnect the solar panel with the switch. And finally over here is an AC Ampmeter. This is what's connected to that AC transformer I pointed out a few minutes ago, and this monitors the AC amps going into both of the battery chargers. So it's a way for me to gauge how, at what state of charge the batteries are. As we can see here, this is drawing 15 amps of AC current from the 115 volt outlet. And as it happens, the batteries are quite low. I just got back from my trip, so that's why we're drawing so much current from those. So that's it. That's my upgrade project that I did. It doesn't look too shabby. Here's how it looks from the front. I tried to dress the wires reasonably well with tie wraps. And for the cycle, and it's hard to see that reflection. On the cycle Analyst, the back end's covered with the back end of the box that I mounted it to. And finally, there's a little wire. It's actually made out of a coat hanger that braces the panel from vibrating back and forth when I drive. So it's nice and sturdy now. So there's my instrumentation setup.